guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to review the Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is a Kobo edition. I got this for free actually on World Book Day and I read it in one sitting. So I just wanted to let you know that the first part of this video will be spoiler free, but then I actually want to talk about specific things, but I'll let you know when that happens. So if you want to read the book but you don't want to know everything, I'll let you know and then you can just go away and come back later. The Yellow Wallpaper was first published in 1892 and it is a short story. It is about the attitudes towards women's mental health and the treatments that were considered the norm at the time in the 19th century. It is narrated in the first person and it is sort of like journal entries. The format is a type of journal entry. It is not very, how should I put it, organized, but you understand that it is a journal. Just to give you a quick synopsis, this is about a woman, our narrator, who is suffering from a nervous breakdown of some sort, and she's being treated by her husband, John, who is a physician. She's staying at this mansion that John rented for a couple of weeks, and she's staying at a room with a hideous yellow wallpaper that she hates. The yellow wallpaper starts to change, and that's when she decides to do something about it. I don't want to say a lot. Being a short story, it is really easy to just tell you everything, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't know if you want that or not. I don't know if everybody would agree with me, but I would consider this narrator to be unreliable because we understand certain things just by accident. It's almost like she wasn't really thinking about telling us this, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you this piece of information. So now you understand why these things are happening. I think that she is not telling us everything, and at the same time, she knows that the way she's phrasing certain events, it makes it sound like nothing is wrong when in fact everything is wrong. I really like this book because I really like reading about mental health, and the 19th century is just very interesting because at a time women, you know, just because of depression or anxiety, they were diagnosed with nervous breakdowns or like a nervous illness, and you know, you just need to rest. Women's illnesses and mental health in specific were always very disregarded and considered just, you know, something that happened because we are women, and sometimes they were encouraged not to read or write because that would, you know, just make you think or overthink stuff, and we don't want that. We want you to calm down. I find it really interesting when I find a book that it talks about that subject, and in case you don't know, this has like a sort of a personal account because the author, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, she actually went through depression and anxiety, and at the time she was subjected to these kind of treatments. I really enjoyed this book and I highly recommend it. If you haven't read anything about this topic in the 19th century, I think it is really interesting, and yeah, go read it. So that's it for the spoiler-free part. Now I want to talk about specific things. If you haven't read the book, I think it's better for you to read it and then come back, or if you just don't care, then, you know, by all means watch the rest of the video. We know right away that she's staying at a mansion. And I'm saying mansion and not mansion because I actually have a hard time believing that it was just a country house that John rented. It sort of made it seem, because of the state of the room. First, she's staying at an old nursery. The room is a mess, you know, the wallpaper is all ripped. And it is disgusting. There's this gate on the other side of the doors, just like for security. It makes it sound like a recovery home, not a hospital, just a place John found, you know, and decided to admit his wife so she could rest for a couple of weeks. And that's why I don't know, because I didn't check, I didn't read like essays about this or anything like that. I'm sure a lot of people have written essays or research papers about the Yellow Wallpaper, but I have my notes here, by the way. But I don't know, it just made it sound as if this mansion is not really a mansion. It's not a country house that he found, but more of a recovery home, for example, or just like a really, really small hospital. Just because of those little hints. Also, I loved the way her treatment was described and exposed. I got to learn a lot more about it. So she is being submitted to a rest cure, which was very, very normal in the 19th century. So basically, when women were going through depression or anxiety, they were advised to just rest, eat well, and get some fresh air. You know, from time to time, get some fresh air. They were prevented from doing anything that would overstimulate them and make them overthink stuff. Like they shouldn't be reading, and they shouldn't be writing, they shouldn't be part of heated conversations or anything like that. They should just rest. And obviously at the time this was normal. If I go to the doctor nowadays and, you know, I'm suffering from depression or something, I highly doubt it that they will tell me to just sleep all day. They want you to do something. They want you to find new hobbies. They want you to be active and not passive and submissive. And at the time, it was easier to prescribe this cure, because if women are kept, you know, within limits, within boundaries, they don't really have to worry about them anymore, right? The doctor's advice was always, you know, lead a very domestic life. Try not to find yourself surrounded by stimulating factors that might contribute to your nervous breakdown or your nervous illnesses or something. And like I said, I think that this narrator is quite unreliable, because she is writing about her experience as if she knows someone is going to read it one day. And she's doing this in secret, obviously, because she can't write. She can't engage in activities like that. And I find it really interesting, because she could have just told us everything all at once. We also have to take in consideration her state of mind. At the same time, we guess that these symptoms just appear probably after she had a baby, because she mentions a baby at some point. And you don't know who this baby is. She doesn't tell us where the baby is or who has the baby, who is taking care of the baby. She just gives us pieces of information every now and then. And she could have just said everything, right? But she doesn't. And it just sounds like an unreliable narrator. Also because she's not in her right state of mind. And also she notices, like I said, that the wallpaper is changing. So at some point, the wallpaper, the patterns, the color, they start changing. They start moving and shifting. And she sees this. So we can't really rely on what she's telling us, right? Once she starts seeing that woman, if you have read the book, you know that she sees a woman trapped in the wallpaper. I don't think this is a fluke. Like, I don't think people should say, oh, that's predictable, because, you know, she is going through some stuff and it's predictable that she's going to have visions or something. I don't really think that that is the point, if it's predictable or not. I just think that it is a representation of how bad the treatment is. It's not helping her at all, you know, dealing with her emotions and what she's going through. And it is just the perfect portrayal of that exact, you know, consequence. One thing that I really also, I have to talk about this because I'm not sure if I interpret it correctly or not, but when we reach the end of the book and John appears, she ripped the wallpaper and she's just going around the room rubbing one of her sides, you know, the wall, and she's just going around and saying something like, I've got out at last, something like that. I don't know if these are supposed to be two women and they just switch places. To me, this woman is the same woman that was narrating the story. But what happened is her, let's call it her condition, let's say her condition showed its true colors. So she was being repressed, right? She couldn't talk about it. She couldn't engage with her condition because she was forbidden. But it's not ideal, and it's not a solution for you to just sweep things under the rug. You have to deal with them. And in this case, I think that it just came out, her condition just came out, and she wasn't in her full capacity anymore. She couldn't control herself anymore. And I just think that that change of not personality, but you know, of being limited to her treatment and then later just coming out as if like I'm not going to do this anymore and I refuse to go for this treatment. It's just so interesting, and I really liked it. After I read it, I read a little bit about Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and now I know that she went through something very similar at the time, and that's why she wrote the Yellow Wallpaper, because she wanted to start a conversation about this subject. She wanted to call people's attention to the way women were being treated. It was really different at the time, and you know, women were considered mad just because they would speak up or because they show their feelings towards something. And it's just interesting to see how medicine changed. And now, obviously, this doesn't happen. No one is advised to do like a rest cure. I think it is an important book, and I highly recommend it if you are interested in this topic. Obviously, trigger warning, if you are going through something right now, maybe you should wait and read it later, because it is very obvious that, you know, she is hiding the fact that she's writing her journal, and, you know, her experiences of watching the wallpaper change are very vivid. I personally would not read this if I knew what it was about and if I was going through something, because I just think that, you know, it could contribute to something, and we don't want that. That's it for today. I actually read this book like almost a month ago, but I just didn't have time to, I mean, I had time, but you know, I was excited with other videos, so, and I didn't have time to prepare it. I did it today during my lunch break. I actually had to reread the ending because it was late at night, and the next morning I was like, I'm not sure if this happened, I need to check. Which was the part when John faints, when he sees her going around the room, and she says that she has to step over him every time she reaches that place in the room. And I just found it funny, as if she's complaining like, oh god, now I have to step over him again. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!